This is Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Body with Dr. Schuyler. Discover how your thoughts manifest disease and what you can do about it. Here's your host, Dr. Schuyler.
Hi, I'm Dr. Schuyler, and welcome to Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Body. I am a licensed psychotherapist, and I specialize in the mind-body connection and its impact on autoimmune and GI disorders with pediatrics and adults. So if you look at the past episodes, I explain what is the primary ingredient in the mind-body connection, what exactly is it, and it's actually emotions, and what a significant role emotions play in the mind-body connection. Then the next thing we know was the limbic system, how important the limbic system is. So the limbic system plays an important role in how we perceive safety and stress. But there's something I want to cover today that's actually rather personal, and it's something that I have developed when I developed this safety-based theory over the course of the past 20 years. I myself have been in a wheelchair and blind with multiple sclerosis, and my daughter has an autoimmune disease that she's healing from fairly quickly, and the hundreds of pediatric patients. And this is what it is. And in order to explain this new concept, when I've talked about in the past episodes, the healing from autoimmune and GI disorders like a pie, and the mind-body connection has several ingredients, its own slice of pie. One of the other key ingredients besides emotions and limbic is different phases of healing. So what are the different phases of healing? In order me to explain this, I'm actually going to do kind of a deep dive into something personal. When I was in the wheelchair, I started realizing I was playing a martyr. And being a victim and a martyr became part of my identity. Now, this isn't something I'm consciously thinking of. This is, if we're going to learn about the mind-body connection, how to heal ourselves, we got to go down to the darkness of humanity, like how dark we are able to go to just kind of create disease or create wellness. So I'm going to charge the way and be totally vulnerable of the warped things that I did to stay in a victim martyr mentality. And now I'm ultimate health. But I have to admit the darkness too. So I'm going to tell a little bit of story to explain like how dark our minds can go in autoimmune and GI disorders, and just kind of expose to the world and to my family. They're going to learn this the first time too. So I very much was marinating in the victim martyr type energy. At the time, in a wheelchair, I had 2 babies, and it was this, oh, look at me, I'm nursing, and I'm carrying my newborn around in my wheelchair. Now remember, this isn't something I'm overtly doing. This is like the subconscious backstage stuff going on that over the years I've been able to understand and then articulate it. So it was this victim martyr, like I'm doing so much and I'm so sick, look at me. Now, really think of it this way. We all have darkness within us. I'm just very comfortable talking about the darkness within us, but it's in all of us. Let's if we're completely transparent. So these dark thoughts I was having was I was secretly enjoying being a victim. I was enjoying feeling important. And we'll get into secondary gains later. But the concept that I was important to people that I loved and people that loved me was meeting a need that I had deep down inside from inner child. And we'll get into all that later. It's all very relevant. So I actually used to feel better, and I would take a dark eyeliner pencil and pencil in dark circles underneath my eyes to try to convince people or convey to people how sick I was feeling, even though you couldn't see it. And this is what I'm talking about. We can perpetuate this sense of victimhood and martyrdom to people that we love in order to keep ourselves sick. And I'm sure I can imagine there's so many people resisting this concept, and I fully embrace that resistance because I too resisted this concept for years. But after working with hundreds and hundreds of pediatric patients and adults, and myself and my daughter, every single person with autoimmune and GI disorders, when they eventually get to the tail end of healing phases, admits that they played a martyr, they played a victim. So I'm not asking you to break down any walls you're not comfortable breaking down, but I just want to simply bring awareness to my story. Playing a victim and a martyr, as offensive as it sounds, was something my subconscious mind did in order to feed an inner child need. So the different phases of healing are martyr, victim, survivor, thriver, and warrior. So victim martyr is very much linked into negative automatic thoughts, ants, the limbic system, and molecules of emotion. So when I'm in this martyr energy, I'm doing everything. And at one point in time, I was a single parent with 2 toddlers, working a teacher's job, and God bless the teachers out there. I know y'all are right above the poverty line, barely hanging on. And look at me, like I'm still a teacher and I'm doing all these great things and working with special populations. This is all deep in my subconscious mind. So think about the molecules of emotion that are generated with that and the chronic limbic state of stress that I'm in because I'm a chronic habitual victim of my disease. Now, when my daughter, she's going to hear this podcast and I hope it goes well. When my daughter was first diagnosed a couple years ago, she stayed in a victim phase for so long, and she used her cane and would board planes earlier, and she needed the cane. I'm not negating that. Sorry, Ella. But what I did notice is that I had to fully embrace her victim phase that she was in, because if someone would have told me back in the day, hey, you're being a victim, I would have doubled down and gotten sicker. And every patient I talked to and I challenged or bring up the resistance to martyr or victim, they double down and get sicker. And then we talk about it. So I knew if I even told my daughter, hey, I know you're milking this, she would have gotten sicker and I would have invalidated her and negated her experience. And that would have been the worst thing as a mother I could have done. So what I did is I embraced her status. I embraced that she needed the extra love, the extra nurturing, the validation, the pain that she was in, the suffering that she is. I marinated her in every need that she needed to get through that phase. I knew exactly she was in the victim martyr phase of it. Overachiever, 4.9 GPA, blah, 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 blah. I knew she was playing those 2 roles, and if I didn't feed those roles to the extent she needed to get fed, I knew she wouldn't be able to move on to the next phase. Right now, she's in survivor-thriver phase. What is survivor phase? Survivor is when you take accountability for you actually can control your reality. And I'm not going to go woo-woo on you, even though I am kind of woo-woo, but I'm not going to go there in this section. What I'm talking about is our thoughts do create our health. In the first episode, we discussed our thoughts, our psychosomatic manifestation, our body manifests psychosomatically, either wellness or disease. And the limbic system is always looking for threat detections. And the emotions impact 30 trillion cells. So part of the healing process is fully embracing that we are in this victim martyr mentality, and that is okay. You're not broken, you're not fixed, nothing's wrong. If someone would have yanked me out of that phase sooner, I would have gotten sicker. There's nothing wrong with that phase of healing. It is critical parts to go through. So please don't feel like you have to hurry through this. I think I stayed in my victim phase for like 10 years. My daughter did about 1.5 years. And I think I expedited her healing process because I fully embodied this phase she was in. So survivor phase is recognizing you can control it. Wait, my thoughts can actually impact it. I can recognize what limbic response I'm in and do something about it. Something about it is ice exposure or knitting or sewing or surfing, something that brings you a state of joy and calmness. So also recognizing if you're in survivor mode means that you're taking accountability for your health. You no longer feel like a victim to your reality. Okay, I understand that I'm sick. I understand that I'm in this disease process, but I also understand that I can start doing something about it. So what happens when you go from victim, martyr, to survivor? You're shifting from safety. You're shifting from non-safety into safety. You're shifting your perception of your disease. You're shifting your belief of the disease. You're shifting how you feel about yourself. You're taking accountability of my thoughts, my anxiety, my fears, what's keeping me up at night is playing a role, whether I'm a survivor, a victim, or a martyr. The next one is thriver. So with thriver, I would say my she's 16 now, and she's going between survivor and thriver, vacillates back and forth. Thriving is when you actually rebuild a life for yourself. You start creating wellness playlists, and we'll get into music, how much music can empower you to heal better. You start using the tools of recognizing your ants that are marching out your subconscious mind. You start to recognize that your limbic system can create wellness or can create disease. You start thriving in life. You start making progress without pressure. You start moving forward to what you feel is success, whatever that looks like, without the concept of stress and comparison. My favorite is warrior. Now, warrior doesn't mean fight. Warrior means peaceful warrior. It means that you stand in your power, you stand in your knowingness, and my favorite thing is repurposing your pain. A warrior is someone who understands if they need to go to battle and fight for themselves or loved ones, they can, but they sit in their power. They sit with their peace and they protect their peace. A warrior always protects their peace because when you've learned to control the ants marching out of your mind, when you learn to control your limbic system, when you learn that catching vibes can infiltrate your body and create more disease, when you start to encompass and embody this and you shift your energy from lack of safety in survivor, victim, lack of safety from martyr and victim, you start shifting into power. That vibrationally, energetically, and cellular changes your body's chemistry. What I look like today versus 20 years ago was unrecognizable because my mindset was so different. A thriver repurposes their pain. If someone would have stopped me in my journey 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. My life purpose is empowering people that they can do something about their disease process. I have repurposed my pain from that Utah desert day to wheelchair days to victim martyr days, and I find purpose in the pain. And that is the last stage of healing. So the phases of healing, and I developed the phases of healing working severe trauma, inpatient trauma, unmentionable trauma. And what I've noticed working with hundreds of people and hundreds of people with autoimmune and GI disorders, healing phases, martyr, victim, creates unsafe emotions in the limbic system. Survivor, thriving, warrior, create an energetic different field. They create different emotions. They create different thoughts. They begin to create wellness. So as you're on this journey, and last time I asked you guys a couple of questions to think about, and the questions were, do you want to heal? And I had you all think about in the context of a limbic system response, what initially came up. Now, with this knowledge of do you want to heal, think about it. What phase are you in? Victim, martyr, survivor, thriver, or warrior? But be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest to anyone else. I painted dark circles under my eyes and I felt better because I still wasn't ready to face the reality that I could do all the things that be expected of me once everyone knew I was better. No judgment for yourself is what is critical here. You're simply going to observe what your body's experiencing with no judgment. This is how I think of it. I spent the first 50 years either beating myself up, getting beat up mentally, emotionally by other people. I'm spending the next 50 years in wellness. So please keep in mind not to beat yourself up when you answer these questions. It's simply bringing awareness to the control that you can have. Do I want to heal? And do I believe I can heal? These two questions will give you insight into your emotions, into your limbic response, and now what phase of healing that you're in. This is why these two questions are my favorite questions I do intake sessions. It tells me pretty much everything I need to know about someone, what's happening in their subconscious mind, and where their symptoms are in their body, is how their limbic system is expressing the disease process in the fight, flight, or frozen response. So when I made the decision to shift from victim to martyr, was a very personal, deep story, and I took a phase 4 clinical drug, and I had a severe allergic reaction. And I was at work as a teacher, and I remember laying on the ground, and the ambulance paramedic said, "We're taking you something without your permission." He used some legal jargon, and I was like, "No, you're not." And then all I remember is I'm in the ambulance, and this gets a little hard to talk about. And I heard, "Bag her, we're losing her." And I'm thinking, what do you mean, bag her, we're losing her? I'm right here. And they're panicking in the ambulance, like panic. And I realized I must not be breathing. Everyone around me is panicking. And I feel like I'm in this twilight space, like I'm floating. I feel great. But they're panicking. And I realized I'm not breathing. They're getting ready to bag me. I'm like, what does that mean? And I started saying my children's name over and over again. Ella Lily, breathe, breathe. I woke up in, I think, a triage, like where they put people, man next to me is having a heart attack. So I woke up in the part of the hospital, and my children's dad, who is just such a fantastic human, was holding my hand sobbing. I don't know how he got there. And I started to come to, and once the drug wore off, I obviously came back to, and he lived in Orlando at the time, and I was in Tampa. So he had to go back to work in Orlando. I was in Tampa working as a teacher. We were divorced at the time, but he's such an amazing co-parent, and he's always there for me. So he had to go back home, but I had no one to help me with the babies. They're toddlers at this age. So I called family members and said, hey, I need some help. And the response was, sorry, I can't, I'm skydiving today. I said, I almost just died. I need someone to help me watch the babies. I'm sorry, we're skydiving, I can't help. And this is a primary caregiver in my life. And in that moment, I realized, all right, you're on your own. No one's coming. Victim martyr days are over. Girl, you got to figure it out. You can't do this. No one's coming, Skylar. No one's coming. I made a decision that day. That decision was so powerful. That was my last day I was sick. I've had relapses, not in the past 10 years, but I had relapses during that time where I felt sick again. But what was different this time is I didn't slip into martyr or victim. I stayed in survivor. I got so much better, I became a thriver. Now, I consider myself a peaceful warrior, someone who repurposes their pain to help others heal. So Joe Dispenza talks about this in something along the lines when, if you look him up, he does fantastic work, but something along the lines of when you make a decision with such an emotional energetic behind it, like such a grand emotional decision that is so powerful, it sets your intent for the future. I'm paraphrasing it. But looking back, that was long before anyone knew who he was. I made such a profound decision with so much energy and oomph behind it. And my intent moving forward was start visualizing a life of healing and wellness. And we're going to get into what visualization was like, how I did it, what patients do. But the takeaway point in this is, with no judgment for yourself, take a look and see what phase you're in: martyr, victim, survivor, thriver, or warrior. And then you can begin to understand one of the main ingredients in the slice of pie in the mind-body connection, and how much either it keeps you sick. So that decision where I'm done being sick, shifted my entire perspective, shifted my thoughts, shifted my emotion, and it shifted my health and started creating psychosomatic wellness. So I understand the resistance with the healing phases. I accept it. I embrace it. It's part of the journey. All it is simply ask yourself those two questions. Do I want to heal, and do I believe I can heal? And you start uncovering about what phase that you're in, and fully, with complete love, embrace whatever phase you're in, because it's absolutely okay. Nothing's wrong, nothing's broken, nothing to be fixed. All you're doing is gaining an understanding of how your mind and your body can create wellness or create disease. And many people I talk to want to hit a quick and easy button. Well, teach me easy. And that's not how it works. It works with gentle acceptance, whatever phase you're in, that it's okay. That emotions, limbic, and phases of healing are all part of it. I do have a book coming out, like a shameless plug real quick. It's Empower Your Child to Heal. But why I'm telling this is for the parents, because I was in that boat. Before I realized I had the oars to get us out, I felt so helpless. So this book is to help the parents out there understanding, please, parents, do not go ask your child they're in victim phase. Please don't do that. Your child will get sicker. It's simply understanding that your child is in one of these phases and it's okay. If you go to the website, drskylar.net, you can start getting free downloads, how to talk to your child about the healing phases, the 5 things your child wished that they knew. Even if you don't have a child, there's still going to be free tips and downloads to further explain what you can do to start healing your mind and body and creating psychosomatic wellness. I send healing vibes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I feel so grateful you have listened to the end. When we begin to understand how our body manifests stress, trauma, depression, anxiety, and even unexpressed emotions, we then create a space, a bandwidth in our minds to begin to heal our bodies. Healing is a decision, and I am grateful for yours. Abundant blessings, Dr. Skylar.
To learn more about the work Dr. Schuyler is doing, please visit drschuyler.net. That's drschuyler.net. And remember to subscribe to this podcast wherever you like to listen.